Hey guys, ladies and gentlemen, what's up? Today we're going to do 10.3, Classifying Quadrilaterals. Now, in that, you're going to have to know how to describe a quadrilateral, classify it by its angles, by its sides. It's going to take a lot of hard work. Remember, quadrilateral. Four-sided figure. There's lots of kinds. Stop the video. Do your practice problems. Check them. Ask questions. Okay, we're doing 10.3, Classifying Quadrilaterals. This is going to be a quick lesson because we're going to do a lot of this in class. But we're going to classify quadrilaterals by their angles and their sides. Okay, the biggest thing that we look at here is we'll look at this chart right here and talk about them. This will be what we'll be going around finding them in class. And a quadrilateral is just any four-sided figure that's closed. Here's an example of an irregular quadrilateral. Why? Because it has four sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they are closed. They don't have to be equal. They don't have to have 90-degree angles. They don't have to have parallel lines. There doesn't have to be any of that stuff because that top one right there doesn't fall under anything but the word quadrilateral. Why? Because quad means four. As a lot of us know from our quad runners and things of that nature. But that is an irregular quadrilateral. And you can see if it's like a family tree here, it has its three relations underneath. Trapezoid, which of course has a top and a bottom line that are parallel. The sides don't have to be equal. They don't have to be. I could have a trapezoid that looks exactly like this. It looks like a rectangle. It's going well on a rectangle, and all of a sudden it ends like that. So it looks like a wedge. Okay, that could be a quadrilateral too. All right, that is a trapezoid. It's a special kind of trapezoid. A lot of trapezoids end up looking like this. A trapezoid can also be drawn sideways, like any of them. Sometimes confuses people and they don't think of that as a trapezoid, but it still is. All right, top and the bottom are parallel to each other. That's the only rule, and four sides. Parallelogram. Parallelogram has two sets of parallel sides, like this. Of course, it doesn't need to have 90-degree angles. It could, but it doesn't need to. All right. That's a parallelogram. And of course, as you can see, it could have four sides equal, but this one doesn't, and that's still a parallelogram. Then we have a kite. Kite, not a whole lot about a kite that makes sense, but a lot of times these two are even and these two are even. Okay, no parallel lines, but that kind of defines a kite as having the top two sides the same and the bottom two the same. If all four of them are the same, it turns into more of a rhombus, which is down here. Or if it's diagonal like that, some people will call it a diamond, but it's more just a rhombus if all the sides are the same. Okay, then we go down to their relatives down here. A parallelogram turns into a rectangle if it has 90-degree angles. Opposite sides are parallel. Don't have to be equal, but the biggest key, the difference between these two, is the 90-degree angles in the corner. Rhombus. A rhombus is a relation to the parallelogram. The only difference between a rhombus and a parallelogram is all four sides are equal here. Still doesn't have to have 90-degree angles, but all four sides are equal. And then both of these two morph into a square. A square is a rhombus with 90-degree angles. And a square is also a rectangle with four equal sides. Okay, so hopefully this chart will help you and you'll be able to identify some. We're going to practice in class quite a bit, so hopefully you're ready for that. Ask any questions that you need to. There are just a couple of examples down below that I'll let you try. What are all those things? Think about that. You don't have to write it down. They look like examples of what? Hopefully you said square. Number 2, got a little lady sitting next to that. Hopefully you know what that thing is right there. That is a good example of a trapezoid. If you're saying quadrilateral, yes, it is a quadrilateral because a quadrilateral is any four-sided figure. And number 3, hopefully you know what that is. Yes, quadrilateral, but it's more than that. It is a parallelogram. Okay, parallelogram because opposite sides are parallel, but it does not have to have 90-degree angles. Okay? All right. Like I said, lots more practice in class. Ask questions if you need to.